I'm Joe. Today on Next Level Bullshit, we take a look at the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Almost every week since the inception of this show, viewers have requested that we dive into the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP for short. Well, we finally did it. Now this is some really complicated shit, so bear with me here. Some of you are probably wondering, what the hell is this thing and why should I care? Well, it's a monster of a multinational trade, regulatory, and financial agreement between Pacific-facing North American and South American corporations, Pacific Rim corporations, and Oceanic corporations. Yeah, I said corporations instead of countries, and that's no accident. The Office of the United States Trade Representative has been negotiating this thing on behalf of corporations in total fucking secret for the past decade. It wasn't until WikiLeaks released some working drafts that the public, and most of Congress, even knew what this thing was really about. Then it rapidly became a hot topic throughout the entire web, so some of you watching may actually be aware of this topic. AboveTopSecret.com has 209 topic results for Trans-Pacific Partnership, like this one. Trans-Pacific Partnership, this is the dirtiest deal you've never heard, featuring this grab your ankles video.
Right now, big banking, software, pharmaceutical, and tobacco corporations are lobbying governments from 12 countries to negotiate the dirtiest deal you've never heard of. There's a reason you haven't heard of the TPP, or Trans-Pacific Partnership. There are some major corporations and government officials that don't want you to know what's in the deal.
Robert Reich, a popular American political economist, former U.S. Secretary of Labor, and professor of public policy, produced a short, interesting video outlining the deal as well. This secretly negotiated agreement is between the U.S. and 11 other countries: Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam. According to the Office of the United States Trade Representative, the TPP not only seeks to provide new and meaningful market access for American goods and services exports, but also set high standard rules for trade and address vital 21st century issues within the global economy. In an apparent response to a tidal wave of worst case scenario speculation about the secret agreement, they also said, the Obama administration has taken unprecedented steps to increase transparency and diversify the voices involved in America's trade policy. Those steps have resulted in more public dialogue and outreach on trade agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership than on any other free trade agreements in history. Wow! Can you smell the bullshit on that? Yeah, most people and all of Congress have no goddamn clue what's being proposed in the TPP. That secrecy is because of a concept called Trade Promotion Authority, or also known as Fast Track Trade Authority. Congress gives the president power to negotiate trade deals through the United States Trade Representative. Once an agreement is made, it is brought to Congress for a yay or nay vote. Nobody can amend or filibuster the agreement. I mean, can we trust this administration with doing things on their own behind closed doors? With a failed stimulus, Obamacare, Fast and Furious, and a flubbed immigration reform on their track record? I don't think so. You see, history is repeating here. Everyone remember NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement? You know, the trade agreement responsible for killing the American economy, with help from the dot-com crash and the housing bubble. I like history. It's a good tool for predicting the future, and we have 20 years of data to look at when talking about the TPP. As a lot of people and organizations has already pointed out, the TPP is just NAFTA on steroids. Let's start with one of the biggest studies written by Ben Beachy at Public Citizen, a nonprofit consumer rights advocacy group and think tank founded by Ralph Nader. In this 30-page report, NAFTA's 20-year legacy and the fate of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, we learn all about the North American Free Trade Agreement's many shortfalls. Shortfalls like more than 845,000 specific U.S. workers have been certified for trade adjustment assistance as having lost their jobs due to imports from Canada and Mexico or the relocation of factories to those countries. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 2 out of every 3 displaced manufacturing workers who were rehired in 2012 experienced a wage reduction, most of them taking a pay cut of greater than 20%. Or, despite a 239% rise in food imports from Canada and Mexico under NAFTA, the average nominal price of food in the United States has jumped 67% since the deal went into effect. Now, after reading this report, there is just no way that you could come away from it thinking, man, free trade agreements are awesome. Now, let's see what others have to say. Wharton University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League business school, published NAFTA 20 years later. Do the benefits outweigh the costs? Robert Scott, chief economist at the Economic Policy Institute, is quoted as, claims by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that NAFTA trade has created millions of jobs are based on disingenuous accounting, which counts only jobs gained by exports, but ignores jobs lost due to growing imports. He adds, the U.S. economy has grown in the past 20 years despite NAFTA, not because of it. Worse yet, production workers' wages have suffered in the United States. Likewise, workers in Mexico have not seen wage growth. Job losses and wage stagnation are NAFTA's real legacy. So yeah, that's NAFTA, a corporate takeover of government trade policy that helped a select few corporations and hurt hundreds of thousands of middle-class Americans. Free trade agreements have nothing to do with jobs. It's all about enabling streamlined corporate profits across multinational borders, made possible through the corporate courts or investor-to-state dispute settlements. These are a big part of the free trade agreements. Corporations can and do sue governments for trying to pass laws to protect citizens from harmful chemicals or products that hurt corporate profits. One of the first cases under NAFTA was in 1996. Ethel Corporation, an American company, developed the gasoline additive MMT, a compound used to increase a fuel's octane rating. It was used in unleaded gasoline following the enactment of the Clean Air Act of 1970, a law designed to control air pollution on a national level. MMT was restricted in Canada at the time due to legitimate health risk concerns. Ethel Corp claimed that the Canadian ban on MMT violated various provisions of NAFTA and sought restitution of $251 million to cover losses resulting from the expropriation of both its MMT production plant and its good reputation. The Canadian government had to repeal the ban. They had no choice under NAFTA, and then they settled with Ethel for $13 million. There are currently 39 corporate claims against Canada alone because of NAFTA, totaling more than $2.5 billion of settlements. That's in US dollars. Eli Lilly is another corporation suing the Canadian government after they refused to issue patents for drugs, an antipsychotic and an attention deficit disorder pill. Two moneymakers, obviously. Eli Lilly claimed that Canada had expropriated their property and should be compensated to the tune of $500 million. Now, this case is still in court, but we know who the big winner is going to be. Intellectual property protection is a big focus of the TPP, and one of the very few things we actually do know about the trade agreement because WikiLeaks released not one, but 2 versions of this chapter. Skimming through the second draft version of the intellectual property chapter, you can definitely see the large corporations' handiwork. The first stop is trade secrets. In the first paragraph, we have this. Each party shall provide for criminal procedures and penalties, at least in cases in which a trade secret relating to a product in national or international commerce is misappropriated, or disclosed willfully and without authority for purposes of commercial advantage or financial gain, and with the intent to injure the owner of such trade secret. Ha! This American way of prosecuting corporate whistleblowers to the fullest extent is also supported by Mexico, Canada, New Zealand, and Japan, making it even easier for corporations to prove that the intent of a disgruntled employee was to injure the owner of the trade secret. Our next stop is pharmaceutical products. It's looking like there's going to be an automatic monopoly period, or market exclusivity for life-saving drugs. Right now, the push is on for 12 years of exclusivity. Ed Silverman at the Wall Street Journal commented on this section. The specter of 12 years of exclusivity has riled consumer groups. Last year, more than a dozen groups, including the AARP and Consumers Union, wrote the White House over concerns expensive biologics could be out of reach for many Americans. And our final destination, copyright. The Electronic Frontier Foundation sounded off in late October, saying, despite an overabundance of evidence that laws punishing circumvention of DRM do far more harm than good, the United States Trade Representative continues to press other countries to embrace the United States' failed anti-circumvention policy. The leaked text suggests that some provisions have improved, but others have deteriorated. Determining an optimal length of copyright terms is still being worked on. At the moment, everyone seems to be in agreement of the term of 50 to 70 years. Also, to make matters worse, the U.S. seeks a broader definition of copyright infringement to even cover acts that are non-commercial. If the U.S. gets its way, then criminal penalties will apply even against users who are not seeking financial gain from sharing or making available copyrighted works, such as fans and archivists. And, as ATS member Deadeye Dick mentioned, these copyright laws may even affect cosplayers. These are things we know because of WikiLeaks. We won't know the full ramifications of this trade agreement until Congress gets their hands on it. What we do have is years of data from previous agreements. It clearly shows there are only a few winners in these agreements, and it's typically big agribusiness, transportation, energy, and durable goods corporations coming out the biggest winners. But most importantly, we have a secret deal with secret provisions negotiated in secret and ostensibly sold as a huge benefit to American workers. But in reality means higher prices, lower wages, fewer jobs, suppressed free expression, and record trade deficits, all wrapped up in a new corporatocracy. And that is next level bullshit. And there it is, 37. I want to thank all our viewers for continuing to be pretty awesome. On our episode of the New World Order coming to the UK, we received a lot of interesting comments. Hill JD00 said, awesome, the BBC licensing fans do not work at all, and never have. We received a lot of comments like that. The detector vans used to work to some degree, but that was back when TVs had vacuum tube circuitry. Don't Be Hatin' said, Joe, you done it again. UK people are simply too weak because they watch too much brainwashing TV. Booyah! And we're getting more and more comments like Mike. Why this channel does not have 400,000 subs instead of 4,000 is beyond me. This channel should be taken off like an Atlas rocket. And Frank wants me to run for president, but I'm not gonna do it because guess what? I'm gonna have to get a haircut and that ain't happening. So, what's today's total?
Just 3.
All right. Last episode, we passed $100. The next episode, I will show my donation confirmation to the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, then announce the next charity that benefits from my foul mouth. Now, if you find a story that's bullshit worthy and you want to share it with me, include hashtag NLBS when you post to any social media outlet. And if you're really motivated, make me a video. If I like it, I'll use it. Or you can email me at joe@nextlevelbullshit.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, and watch all our shows on nextlevelbullshit.com. And don't forget to go to thenlbs.spreadshirt.com to get shirts and other bullshit. Until next time, if you're a woman in the US and you drive a car, according to this Saudi historian, you don't care about being raped.